So I wanted to give you a brief description of this Ansible Playbook file and what it's actually doing to automatically configure the two virtual machines, one in which the CoffeeMaker application is running and the other in which the Selenium testing application is run. And so both of these applications need some common configuration, like the packages that it needs to be installed for it to run the projects. And so I've declared a list of these packages here in the using the vars keyword. And obviously we want to target all of them, which is the two virtual machines that we're targeting. And then we're going to, one other thing to note is that the application repository is located in an enterprise repository. So what we're going to do is we're going to define a prompt with the vars prompt keyword for both the username and the password. Username we're going to be able to see while we type it, and the password we're not with the private keyword. And so going down into the tasks, we can see that the first three are just setting the PPA for the sudo apt-get command. Sudo apt-get is simulated with the apt module. The apt_repository is used to add these repositories so that we can install these the JDK and the Maven packages. So the other thing that I do here is I check whether the repository has already cloned with the stat module, which is basically just taking the, seeing if the path exists. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to redirect that path into a variable with the register keyword. And we're going to check that with the when condition before we clone the repository, which is a really nice, handy trick. Another thing to note is this condition right here. And what this is saying is if you are running this playbook on the host name that is app, basically. And we define that in our inventory file, right? So this is app and this is testing. And so that's a neat way to run some tasks on particular host names. Once you set everything up with the repositories, you need to do this one thing that may be tricky if you are not familiar with MySQL, which is setting up the MySQL server, which you first install it, and what you need to do is you need to install Python and MySQL DB as well in MySQL server. And then what you're going to do is you're going to actually reset the root user and password. And this is to make this playbook idempotent, which means that every time we run this, we're not going to have any adverse effects or do some useless computation. And so because the default user is root and the password is blank, we're going to actually reset both the name and the password here using the MySQL _user module. And then we're going to pass in or copy some MySQL configuration files, one for client MySQL and the other for the server. Then we're going to also pass in a Hibernate template configuration file, and we're going to use the template module to actually render in the actual value of the password in the configuration file for Hibernate, which you can see here is root db password, which we define in our YAML up here, root db password. And so that allows us to conveniently pass in that password when we're setting up the Hibernate configuration file. And so once you set that up, you need to actually compile it, and that's what this task does, Maven compile. And we're using command module here to change directories and actually run the Maven compile command. And the other thing to note is this no hangup command that you can run on Unix environments, and that basically runs our application indefinitely in the background so that we can do other things in our Ansible server. For Selenium, you need to install the Google Chrome. And what I do here is I, again, check if this file already exists in the home directory, which I set as a default location of downloading the file. And I do that with the stat path and register pattern so that we're not uselessly downloading the file again. And once you've installed the kernel package, you're ready to go. And you can go over to the virtual machine that runs the testing to do the testing. So now I'm going to show you what the playbook looks like when it's run in the testing. And I'm also going to show you what the application looks like.